There are some stories in the Bible that we don't even read because we already know what they say. We know what they're about. We know what the point of the story is. One of these stories is Genesis 3. It's a story with a serpent, a woman, a man. God is present toward the end of the story. We call this story the fall. And in this particular story, a story that's been used to subjugate, to oppress, to shame, to manipulate, to abuse, we miss a couple key details of the story because we already know what it's about. This is why it is so important that we actually read the texts and that we think about what is happening, that we pay attention to the interactions that are going on within the text. First, we have the serpent asking a question. It's a simple question. You must not eat from any tree in the garden. And the woman responds, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die. And the serpent rejoinders, you will not certainly die. For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. It starts with a simple question, a question that uncovers a reality that the woman had not previously considered. What if God's mistaken? And she can't shake the question. This is what doubt does. Doubt doesn't necessarily pervert our thinking. Doubt kickstarts our thinking. Doubt motivates us to think in ways that we hadn't previously been capable of thinking because it was invisible. The serpent has uncovered a potential new reality, and the woman seriously considers this new reality. And she sees that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom. She took some. She ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. So here's the first thing that we miss. We tend to think of woman as subservient. She was weak. She was tempted by the snake. She gives in to temptation, and then she shares with her innocent but also weak husband, who missed out somehow on the earlier conversation and didn't know. But that's not the truth. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her. This particular marriage relationship doesn't fit our idea of what a biblical marriage looks like. In fact, we even have language. Spiritual headship is one of those concepts that I'm not real fond of, that suggests the man's role is that of God to both his wife and his children, as representative, as stand-in, whatever the case. But that's not what happens here in this particular story. The woman is the interlocutor. She's the speaker. She's the thinker. She's the discerner. She's the decider. Her husband, who's present with her, is a silent witness. He waits. He observes. He trusts. He trusts her discernment. So what's the sin? Is this the sin that they did new thinking that they hadn't been capable of doing before? Is the sin that they decided to eat this fruit and risk death? The text suggests no. The sin is what happens afterward. The sin is the oppression that the man and the woman both feel now that they have new knowledge. There's nothing wrong with the knowledge. There's nothing wrong with knowing the difference between good and evil. It appears that God's intent was to protect them from shame. Shame was the threat. Shame is what kills. Shame is the power of death. And so the snake told them the truth. You will certainly not die. He told them a literal truth. But they're dying for shame. They hear the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid. Why did they hide? Because their eyes had been opened, and they realized they were naked. They're embarrassed. They're ashamed. They've become convinced, in spite of the fact that they're made in the very image of their Creator, that they're not good enough and that they can't be good enough. Shame is what has entered the world. The fall, we think of the fall as being kickstarted by a sin of commission, that the man and the woman eat the fruit that they've been commanded not to eat, and that for that they must be punished. But the text actually has a very different sin. It's a sin of shame. The knowledge that they've gained makes them self-aware, and that self-awareness brings with it a price. They recognize that there are things about themselves that they do not like, and that they dare not let God see. They cover themselves in fig leaves, they hide among the trees, and then God asks, "Where are you?" The result of shame is not just fear or isolation, but also abandonment. This is the sin that happens when we experience shame, when shame enters the world. We abandon those that we need. We hurt them, we hurt ourselves. Just a little bit further along, we get into chapter 4, and we see shame has grown. Adam and Eve have a son, Cain. They have another son, Abel. Cain kills Abel. Cain has a son. His son is also a murderer. The fall of humanity. The fall of humanity is something as simple as the gaining of information without the capacity to hold it. And so we have shame.